Subscribe for the latest NBA news and watch till the end for the full story.
Jonathan Kuminga is 23 years old, a former lottery pick, and one of the most athletically gifted forwards to hit the free agent market this offseason, and he is still unsigned. That fact alone tells you everything you need to know about where this negotiation stands. This is not a story about a player nobody wants. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers both want him. The problem is simple. Nobody wants to pay him what he believes he is worth, and Kuminga, he is not budging. Let's start with who Jonathan Kuminga actually is, because if you have only been casually following this situation, the profile matters. He came into the league as a top 7 pick, spent his formative years with the Golden State Warriors, and developed into a forward with a combination of size, explosiveness, and defensive versatility that teams simply cannot manufacture. At 6'7" with elite athleticism, he can guard multiple positions, attack the basket, and play in transition at a high level. Those traits do not come around every offseason. That is the reason 2 legitimate playoff contenders are still sitting at the table months into free agency. Now here is where the story gets interesting. Kuminga's free agency history matters as context. He played through a restricted free agent situation the previous year that shaped his entire mindset heading into this negotiation. He watched how that process worked, how teams used restrictions to suppress his earning power, and he came out of it with a clear message: it will not happen again. He is not approaching this offseason with urgency. He is approaching it with patience, and that patience is the single biggest factor in why this situation remains unresolved. According to Clutch Point's NBA insider Brett Siegel, speaking on the latest episode of Clutch Scoops, the field has narrowed significantly. There's 2 teams right now. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Lakers, Siegel said. That clarity is important. This is not a situation where 10 franchises are quietly circling. It is a 2-team race, and both sides know it. The question is not who wants Kuminga, it is who will pay him what he is actually asking for. The financial gap is the core of this entire story. The Lakers have reportedly offered Kuminga a 2-year, $20 million deal. On the surface, that sounds like real money, but break it down, and it averages $10 million per year. Kuminga's ask sits between $14 million and $16 million annually. He wants to land somewhere in what Siegel described as that sweet spot of $14–16 million. That is not a minor disagreement. That is a gap of $4 million to $6 million per season, and neither side has shown a willingness to fully close it. Siegel was direct about what is driving the holdup, who's going to offer him the most money, who's willing to hold out as long as possible and kind of act like a restricted free agent again until he gets paid. He doesn't want to get paid less than the mid-level. He wants to get somewhere in that sweet spot of $14–16 million. That framing, acting like a restricted free agent, is deliberate. Kuminga is manufacturing leverage in a situation where he technically has none. He is an unrestricted free agent, which means no team owes him anything, but he is betting that his skill set is rare enough that the right team will eventually meet his number. So far, that bet has not been called. On the Lakers side, Brett Siegel was clear about where he sees this ending. I personally believe that he's going to end up with the Lakers in some kind of deal, whether he takes that 2-year, $20 million deal they offered him, whether or not it's a sign and trade and he gets a little bit more money. That seems to be where the holdup is right now with Jonathan Kuminga's free agency. Los Angeles has 2 concrete paths forward. The first is the direct signing 2 years, $20 million, a prove-it contract that asks Kuminga to bet on himself for another cycle. The second, and increasingly discussed, path is a sign-and-trade involving the Golden State Warriors. The sign-and-trade mechanism is worth explaining clearly, because Kuminga's rights originate with Golden State. The Warriors can facilitate a deal that sends him to Los Angeles or Cleveland in exchange for assets coming back to the Warriors. That structure allows Kuminga's new team to offer him a larger contract than they could through a straightforward free agent signing, because the salary comes through a trade framework with different cap rules. For Kuminga, this is potentially the bridge between what the Lakers are offering and what he is actually asking for. For Golden State, it becomes an opportunity to receive draft capital or roster pieces in exchange for a player they could otherwise lose for nothing. For the Lakers, it is a way to land a young, high-upside forward without catastrophically dismantling their cap flexibility elsewhere. Why do the Lakers make sense as a destination beyond just the financials? LeBron James departed Los Angeles for the Philadelphia 76ers this offseason, and that departure left a significant void not just in star power, but in the type of versatile, physically imposing forward the team relied on for years. Kuminga does not replace LeBron. Nobody does. But his size, athleticism, and defensive capability give the Lakers a building block that fits what a post-LeBron roster needs: youth, upside, and the ability to contribute immediately to a playoff contender. The Cleveland Cavaliers represent a genuinely competitive alternative. Following an offseason defined by roster reshuffling across the league, the Cavs are actively monitoring Kuminga's situation as they look to add a versatile forward with the physical tools to match up in a loaded Eastern Conference. Cleveland went deep in the playoffs last season, and their front office is not in rebuild mode. They want a player who can contribute right now while also projecting long-term value, and Kuminga checks both boxes. The risk for Cleveland is the same risk every team faces here. Are they willing to reach $14–16 million annually for a player whose consistency is still developing? That is the calculation their front office is running. What Kuminga brings to either roster is not abstract. At 23, he is in the early prime of his athletic development. His defensive versatility allows him to guard wings, forwards, and in some matchups, even ball handlers at the point of attack. He can operate as a finisher in pick-and-roll sets, attack off the dribble in transition, and protect the rim on the other end. For a contending team that needs a forward who does not have to carry offensive creation responsibilities, he is one of the most functional fits available on the entire market. Now consider the 4 realistic outcomes from this point forward. First, Kuminga accepts the Lakers' 2-year, $20 million offer as structured a prove-it deal, where he bets that elevated performance earns him a bigger payday in 2 years. Second, a sign-and-trade framework gets finalized between Golden State, Los Angeles, and Kuminga's camp, with the structure unlocking a salary closer to his actual ask. Third, the Cavaliers make a serious run with a direct offer closer to $14–16 million per year, flipping the race entirely and pulling Kuminga away from a Lakers deal that never fully materialized. Fourth, the standoff extends into training camp, which is uncommon but entirely possible when a player has decided he will not accept below market value and the teams involved refuse to move their offers significantly. Of those 4 scenarios, the sign and trade to the Lakers appears most likely to produce a resolution, because it is the only structure that simultaneously addresses what both Kuminga and Los Angeles need from this negotiation. Eagles' confidence about the Lakers as the likely destination is grounded in the reporting, and the underlying logic holds. The Lakers have been engaged the longest. They have the most incentive to close the deal before training camp, and the sign-and-trade mechanism gives both sides a way to save face. Kuminga gets closer to his number, and the Lakers justify the salary through a trade structure rather than an open market overpay. 3 facts anchor everything here. The Lakers and Cavaliers are the only 2 teams in serious contention. Money, specifically the $4–6 million per year gap between what Los Angeles has offered and what Kuminga is demanding, is the only real obstacle. A sign and trade involving Golden State may be the mechanism that finally closes that gap and ends one of the most closely watched free agent standoffs of the 2025 offseason. Kuminga has decided what he is worth. Now the league has to decide whether it agrees.